I wanted to talk about an album that I love that not many other people are talking about, and I wanted to put it out there so that maybe one of these days it'll be released on vinyl. It's from an artist named Lauren Christy, and the album is called Breed. I initially discovered Lauren Christy in 1994 when her single The Color of the Night came out. It was on the Color of Night soundtrack, a movie with Bruce Willis. The single started getting a lot of talk on AOL message boards for pop music. I started seeing a lot of people mentioning it in late 94, and I eventually received a copy of the video of the song on a Rock Video Monthly subscription that I had for pop music. And I instantly fell in love with the song, and I went out and bought the cassette single, which I still have, as you see. And I eventually also found a CD maxi that had a bonus track called Full for Pain, which you can't find anywhere else, and I'm kind of proud of that. But the album that the song would eventually be re-released on was her self-titled album, which is very adult contemporary, and it includes singles like You Read Me Wrong, which got some minor airplay on AC stations back in the 90s, as well as a song called Steep, which you can find the video for both of those on YouTube. These songs really aren't that well known in the USA, but it seems like they had more life overseas in places like Europe, where you can see contestants on singing competitions using those songs as their big stage song. Every now and again, you might hear them in a grocery store or a doctor's office or something like that. But overall, the album Lauren Christy, self-titled, didn't really chart or get much success, so they shifted gears, her and her team, and eventually worked out something a little different. I first noticed that the song Breed was listed on the Batman and Robin soundtrack, which I think might have come out in early 97, and it was eventually released as a single. This is the promo, and I found this at a Forever Young record shop in Irving when it was still in Irving, Texas. It's now just in Arlington, I believe. I had sampled the song probably in a Best Buy or a Circuit City, and I was really impressed with how much of a shift it was from the soft rock of her first album, and it went into a more aggressive, up-tempo, alternative sound. The song didn't really get too much airplay, but apparently you could see it every now and again on MTV. I think it reached a number 32 on their weekly charts. I used to read Billboard a lot, and they would have weekly charts for most of those music stations. Eventually, I found a copy of the full-length album, also at Forever Young, and fell in love with it instantly. It's still one of the most listened to albums in my collection. It came out in 97, so it's been out for about 25 years, and it also garnered another single called Magazine. Now, that song is great. It's very commercial. I think from what I remember from an interview that she did, I believe on K-Rock, the second single was supposed to be I Want What I Want, but I guess the record label thought Magazine would be a better fit. It eventually did hit number 40 on the adult top 40 charts, but other than that, the album Breed kind of came and went, and I'm kind of sad about that, because it's not an album for folks who like big artistic statements. It's more of an album for folks that love the Garbage and Alanis albums that were coming out in the 90s. It has more of that vibe, even some Tori Amos and maybe Sarah, but it's a little more intense than that. Intense might not be the right word, but I love every track on the album, from the first song, Breed, to the second to last song, The Night I Saved Peter Ustinov, which is just this beautiful back and forth between her and I guess a fantasy or a dream that she might have had once. The very last song is a piano version of Breed, just very slow and soft, and it just is kind of the lead out to the end of the album. After that, I know that Lauren Christy intended to make a third album. She had mentioned a song called Sugar Snow that she was incredibly proud of, and to this day I don't know if she's incorporated that into something else that she would have done, but she ended up making a couple more singles that were on soundtracks. There was this really soft song called My Spot in the World, which was on the 102 Dalmatian soundtrack, as well as Anywhere the Wind Blows, which I had to search. It was from a movie called Seven Girlfriends, which I completely forgot about. I don't know if I ever saw anything about that movie other than it had Anywhere the Wind Blows by Lauren Christy on it. She also did a really beautiful song called Satellite that was on this William Shatner movie called Free Enterprise. It's kind of got a beat similar to Massive Attack's Teardrop, but luckily it is a completely different and beautiful song. I recommend checking it out on YouTube. She then went on to join a songwriting and production team called The Matrix, where they would first have some minor success with songs like This Night on Christina Aguilera's Christmas song, and their big breakout was when they worked with Avril Lavigne on her first album and produced songs like Complicated, Skater Boy, I'm With You, the massive hits from that album. So after that, their reputation went through the roof in the music industry, and they ended up producing songs like The Remedy from Jason Mraz, Twisted Transistor and Coming Undone from Korn, and they would go on to work with Korn throughout most of their career after that. In fact, Lauren Christy also mentioned that she's working on Jonathan Davis' solo album with him currently. So Lauren Christy luckily did have massive success with the songwriting and production, and then she went on to have a role more into development of artists, including her own daughter, which, according to an interview with Feminine Ror, their band is an homage to this Lauren Christy album.
And after that is my daughter's band, Breed. 2 daughters, 1921, I think I said that, and it's called Breed, B-R-E-E-D, which is, if you look here, it's my last album that I made.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow.
Yeah, it's called Breed, See Me With All the Rabbits. And, and so they called their band, it's the band Breed. They haven't even put one piece of information out yet because they're like, let's get really good before we start to talk to the public.
Talking about the other songs on this record, besides Breed, I Want What I Want in Magazine, there's also a very upbeat, fun love song called You Make Me Laugh, which back in the day, when I was a teenager and I wasn't really messing with love, it was a nice, happy, upbeat, up-tempo song, but it wasn't really until I started dabbing into love and eventually got married that lines like, when you've shaven off your hair, when you're in your underwear.
When you're shaving off your hair.
Other songs from this album that I really love include Boomerang Bang, which is just this epic song that I always envisioned a video for. In fact, a lot of songs on this album, like I Want What I Want and Could Have Been and The Night I Saved Peter Ustinov, I envisioned videos for when I was younger because I didn't really have access to the one that was out. There were actually 2 versions of the Breed video. So I just kind of made them up in my head. The song Could Have Been ended up being a fan favorite for those of us fans who were able to find each other on message boards back in the day. That seemed to be one that most everybody had in their top 5 to some degree. It actually ended up kind of being a blueprint for a bunch of the songs that she would produce for Avril and Hilary Duff and a bunch of other people who, now a song like that, when you've heard So Yesterday and Complicated a lot, it might sound a little dated, but to me, since I remember it from 25 years ago, listening to it, it still sounds fresh and I love it. And I definitely recommend it if you like nice alternative pop from the 90s with the sultry but very prominent voice. Thank you for letting me rant about one of my favorite records, and I'll be doing another one soon.